dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm your screw you, Mountain Dew host, Madelyn.
I'm your PAX host, Emma.
And thanks for tuning in to this week's special episode show. That's right. It's late March, which means that we went to PAX East. We came, we saw, we PAXed.
Did you see it's going to be in May next year?
I didn't. Really?
May or June. It was going to be significantly later, is what I saw.
Fascinating. That's maybe positive for me. Certainly weather-wise.
Yeah. I'm assuming they just don't want to avoid what happened this year again.
Which
was
is
at the same time
as GDC.
Yeah.
Joke's on them. Jeff will be like, hot game summer.
Starting early.
Hot game
or summer.
Whole late spring. Warm game late spring.
Mayflower game or summer.
Mayflower gamer summer. You're right. May 8th through 11th, 2025.
Yep.
Wow.
Anyway, we're talking about this year's PAX.
Yes,
though.
we're already looking forward to next year's PAX.
Hopefully Mountain Dew will have been defeated.
Yeah, their lame sponsorship. So yes, Emma and I, we went to PAX East. We've stuck with our 2-day PAX plan, although slightly off of what we determined last year to be the ideal PAX schedule of Thursday and Saturday, which I still stand by. Although, man, how empty must Thursday have been?
Yeah. I do wonder. Yeah, we don't have a Boston HQ anymore, so it's hard to justify having a day in there. I guess we could have gone and done Boston-y things, but it would still be significantly more expensive to get another night in the hotel.
Look, maybe next year. This year, I'll admit some of the calculus had to do with various job travel and job responsibilities for me as well, wherein I would have been trading not only paying for a hotel, but lost income. And also, even more travel very close together than I was already doing.
Sure.
So there's that. Maybe in May. Who knows? But yes, our first year without the Boston PAX HQ, which brings me to my first takeaway from PAX East, which is, oh my god, the food really bad. I know this is what you came here to listen to.
No, that's important. This is like our first year. I'm pretty sure it's our first year not packing lunch. I think there was a year when we went out and ate lunch.
At least
like,
for
Tate.
one of the days, or some of the days.
Yeah.
Because we went to like Tate or something nearby. Or like Banh Mi or something.
That was one of the years where we went like 3 days. So
yes. Which we do not do anymore. I don't know why you would. I'll go to that hot take. I am still firmly in the camp of PAX East these days is definitely a 2-day affair.
Yeah, I agree. Unless like you're really like meeting up with friends, I guess.
Sure.
But
if you're there to play tabletop or like hang out with your pals, by all means, get your 4-day pass.
Yeah.
But if you're there for serious game demo playing related purposes, I don't see much of a reason to go for more than 2 days.
Yeah.
Unlike as we had, I feel like in last year's PAX episode, I'm sure that I said I felt like 2024 might have been our last chance for the big guys to come back. You know, I thought, okay, maybe 2023, they were still, like, when they were planning this, still felt more pandemic-y, and, like, 2024 felt like the last opportunity. And the big guys did not come back. In fact, many of the medium guys did not appear.
Well, the thing that's, like I already said, I guess the thing that's mucking up your calculus of that is that it was at the same time as GDC.
So I just get to keep hope alive for another year.
So I actually think that maybe it'll be next year that'll really be the sticking point.
I really feel like Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football.
Yeah.
I feel like Charlie Brown, to be clear. I don't feel like Lucy. I'm not responsible for, I just want big guy merch. Is that so much to ask? And I don't want to have to wait in the unbelievable Fangamer line to do that.
There was an unbelievable line for Fangamer, considering they had one piece of exclusive merch for a niche title.
shockingly long.
Larian was there. They had merch. I was
Okay.
not overly impressed with the merch that I glimpsed when we walked by there, but
Sure.
they sure did have some.
Good for them.
Yeah.
If only I had had time to play any of Baldur's Gate 3, perhaps I would have felt something about that. Too many games.
They had a cool Mind Flayer guy.
They did.
Apparently
They
they had other people in cosplay, but like that was the only one I saw. We didn't.
Maybe they
there
were
wasn't a
just
ton
roaming.
of stuff by there. Yeah.
We did see some Baldur's Gate cosplay on Saturday, so
Yeah, true.
Could have been those people. Anyway, yes. In terms of general, in some ways, I think that it almost benefited from the sort of like Devolver tier of people not showing up. The experience, you miss out on like those games, which is kind of disappointing. But there was also like I just can't think of anything other than the Dunkin' Donuts experience that had a just absolutely like nope, no way kind of line.
Maybe the Final Fantasy 14 line, which
Sure,
we didn't consider, but was pretty long.
That is fair. I'll grant that. But like that was not a line that I was ever going to be in.
Yeah.
And it's a line that is only like, it's certainly a demo of their new player experience or whatever, but it's only quasi-demo.
Yeah.
So I do think that the experience, at least my overall experience of PAX this year, I would say was better than last year. I don't think that I played a single game that I didn't at least like somewhat. And I felt like we didn't ever really get caught in a gigantic long line. Managed fatigue pretty well overall. So like generally like pretty good. Calibrated the expectations correctly.
Yeah.
But it is still missing the excitement of there being like an event game.
And most crucially, missing Wild Bill's soda. That iconic place that we always look at and go, do we want some? We can't possibly want some. How expensive is it? Never mind. That's why it was better. We didn't spend like an hour total considering Wild Bill's.
No, I think that was worse. I think that that's the glue that held us together. For those who are not aware, Wild Bill's sells big reusable goblets that you fill with their custom fancy little sodas.
Mm-hmm.
And that if you buy them, you can get unlimited refills throughout PAX. Unfortunately, those goblets cost like $50. Now, what I did learn through this scandal is that you can bring those goblets back year after year after year. And this year, no doubt, many people washed and carefully packed those goblets, only for there to be nothing to put in them.
But Mountain Dew.
Yes, PAX East this year, sponsored by Mountain Dew, although would you know it?
No.
Were there little men dressed as elves, dressed as, whatever other character classes of Baldur's Gate are? Dressed as Mind Flayers, dressed as Dune Worms, dressed as Warriors of Light, etc., walking around, passing out Mountain Dew in potion goblets, which would be perfect because Mountain Dew comes in green, red, and blue flavor? No. And why
They
not?
didn't even have all the colors of Mountain Dew like available for sale.
I don't understand the point.
They just had standard Mountain Dew that you could buy if you wanted to.
Maybe Mountain Dew I know did sponsor the PAX concert that we didn't go to.
Oh, so maybe they like sprayed you with Mountain Dew.
I'm glad we were
during
on the same
that
page about that.
concert.
Yeah, or like a Gatorade thing on someone of Mountain Dew. That might be worse than Gatorade. Hot take.
Yeah.
Not sure how the carbonation would factor into a Mountain Dew cooler blast.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know
Anyway,
the physics on that.
I felt more emotional attachment for making fun of Wild Bills than I realized until I discovered they would not be there.
I mean, it's just like also, whatever, however expensive Wild Bill's is, it's better than the corporatized
Yeah.
Mountain Dew descent.
No, it's part of the
After all.
experience. It was a loss of part of the experience. And between that and like no Devolver, no Tiny Build, no Indie Mega Booth. No, I feel like there's some other ones that are off.
I kind of thought Indie Mega Booth like is back. Right. They went into hibernation during the pandemic and announced their return, but I guess they're not for PAX East.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Because all we have was PAX Rising.
Yeah.
Which, scratches much of the same itch, but, like, doesn't have the fun carpet or thing overhead.
Yeah. It does have a carpet and a thing overhead.
No, it does, but not the Indie Mega Booth one.
Yeah.
So highlights, lowlights. Lowlights, no Wild Bills, of course. Lowlights, having to purchase a $12 slice of focaccia pizza.
Well, we talked about PAX Rising. Played 4 games at PAX Rising, right?
That sounds about right.
I think our very first game was So to Speak.
It was?
Or maybe our second game. It was one of our very first games.
I believe it was our very first game. And it's basically called Madelyn and Emma Boost Their Egos.
Madelyn and Emma, you need to check your WaniKani.
Madelyn, you have 600 reviews.
Yeah, so to Speak is like one in like a little mini genre, honestly, of like learn Japanese through like looking at images, basically.
Yeah.
So in this one, you start to learn like you have to click on the kanji, the person saying the pronunciation of the kanji, and like the thing on the current screen that you're on, and sort of match those all together before you can then proceed on to the next screen. And you just sort of do this repetitively to try to like, learn words as well as the kanji that represent those words in Japanese. So we played that for a little bit.
It's a cool idea. It's always really hard for me to judge how well these games work because I never play them in languages where I don't know the like super basic thing that I'm playing through in the demo. It'd be cool if it worked.
Yeah. I can see how it would be like if you're looking at the thing itself, maybe that would help the kanji stick in your mind a little bit more as well than just looking at the kanji and the pronunciation and the word. But, there's clearly something to it because people keep making these games.
Yeah.
The next one we played at PAX Rising was My Familiar, which Madelyn played a little bit of.
I think it's My Familiars. I think it's plural. The logo's a little ambiguous.
No, I think it's just one. The R is just fancy at the end.
Okay, so My Familiar, very fancy R.
Yeah. Sort of like a Super Mario RPG type RPG.
Yeah.
In terms of the combat system, not really the tone, I think. But.
Yeah. I liked that one. It was stylish. The turn-based combat felt fun. Wish that we had gotten to meet the Chicken Man, really.
Yeah, true.
So they had a pretty good sticker. That's one. I feel like I am trying to resolve this year to actually play some of the games that I play at PAX and go like, oh, that's fun. Because I do still have, I still haven't played I Was a Teenage Exocolonist from 2 years ago at PAX.
I recommend that.
I know.
I played it 5 times for you.
But I just am so bad at playing things on my little computer that I often don't seek them out. And I just need to, the rest of the year, I'd like to do a better job of both playing several more gigantic games, but playing some of these littler games too.
You gotta maintain your Steam wish list, Madelyn.
I don't think I've ever used a Steam wish list.
That's a project for you.
Oh, I do love a list.
Then on the second day at PAX Rising, you played Genesis. It's Genesis Noir?
No, Genesis Noir is the first one. This
one
is Nirvana Noir.
Nirvana Noir. Yes, I have played Genesis Noir. Madelyn is not. But they're making a sequel thing called Genesis Noir.
Nope,
that seems like it's a
Noir.
bit. Frick. Nirvana Noir. It's called Nirvana Noir, which seems definitely a chunk more involved than the first game was in terms of talking to people and solving little puzzles and stuff. The developer was saying something to the side while you were playing about, like, they were, like, looking at the Yakuza series in terms of making
I thought
city,
I heard him say that. I wasn't sure that's what he said because I was
like a small but dense city environment, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
I like Genesis Noir fine. I thought Nirvana Noir looked more interesting because it had a little bit more going on, I guess.
It was very, very stylish looking.
Mm-hmm.
Very distinct visual identity, especially with the half of the game is in the noir color scheme and half of it is like very bright, bold color. Which does align with sort of my style dichotomy, honestly. So I appreciated it from that standpoint. I also loved the, like, anytime somebody does something like weird that doesn't make sense exactly, or that seems like that's not normal, I'm like, that's a Talk This mashup. So I was like, oh, the idea that, like, your game has two endings and you're like, we're going to do a sequel that does both. I'm like, good. Yes. Love that for you. Like, what a fun choice that you've made for yourself in doing that. Love when a game is two games.
Me too.
So that got me interested in, like, looking into Genesis Noir. I was like, I enjoyed the Nirvana Noir. I thought it was a well-crafted demo too. That's something else I should be calling out as we go. That one was like, gave you a piece of one, gave you a piece of the other. You got a taste of both. The visuals were interesting enough that some of the, like, friction of it, like, it was weird to, there was a conversation element where you had, like, a bunch of letters and you kind of had to make it was like a word scramble, basically, to make a topic of a question you wanted to ask. And that felt like the kind of thing that would be very fun to do, or, like, to mess around with by yourself, and that felt, like, very embarrassing to be doing.
Trying to spell in front of people.
Well, no, I'm a good speller. That was not the spelling that was embarrassing. It was the, like, oh, like,
word
the longer I
scrambling.
take doing this, like, there's only one demo.
Right.
Here.
Yeah.
So I did feel a little embarrassed. I was like, oh, how long is this going to take me? But it was a well-crafted demo, which definitely helped my impression of it.
And then a game that we had looked at every time we went to PAX Rising but didn't play until, like, close to the end of our second day was Unwound, which was a weird one.
I really wanted it to be a Katamari-like, and here's
It's definitely not a Katamari-like, I don't think.
It is definitely not. You start out rolling around as a ball of yarn in, somewhat Katamari-like way, and that made me wish. And PAX Rising developers of the future, if you wanted to make a Katamari-like, I would buy it on the spot. I would invest in it on the spot. I would do anything for more people to be making bad ripoffs of Katamari. I would do anything. But yes, you crash land on a planet. You're a ball of yarn. Not clear to me if you've always been a ball of yarn or...
Yeah, that was also, like, not clear if you're, like, cognizant of the fact that you're a ball of yarn.
Yeah. Little ambiguous, the yarniness of it all. But you are, like, rolling around this world trying to, like, figure out what happened and, like, get someplace and put yourself back together. And as you go, almost like a spore, right? Haha, but not really. You're just, like, picking up googly eyes and picking up baby arms and legs and putting that on. And I could see how that could be cool if there's a lot of, like, customizing that impacts how you move through the world that you have to do later. But it was mostly freaky.
Yeah, felt very, like, creepy pasta-y.
Yeah.
I don't know. In its sort of general vibes and the different characters that you interacted with over the course of playing it.
Yes. If it's sort of a, like, doll, like, character builder type thing, that would be neat. That's the kind of game that I could get into playing, perhaps. But yeah, it was weird. And also, yeah, if you're gonna be a rolling ball, it's got to be Katamari. Sorry, I don't make the rules. Even if it's only a rolling ball for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. So those are the PAX Rising ones we checked out.
It was good. It was a strong showing at PAX Rising, I would say.
We didn't go play it, but I saw Kind Words 2 there as well, which I'm personally curious about in terms of how they're possibly expanding that concept.
Yeah.
But and some other stuff that looked cool, but we just didn't get around to.
Yeah, there's, PAX Rising is great, but it's also not like the best managed lines of the conference.
Yeah.
And not even like that it was like so crowded or anything. Overall, PAX this year felt lightly attended.
Well, the aisles were quite big also.
Yeah.
I think. I remember when we were going in like pre-pandemic, the aisles could be like single file sometimes. Yeah. And I do appreciate having that they have less people, but it does allow for more space to just like walk, which is good.
But yeah, especially Friday. Saturday it didn't feel like Saturday at PAX. But,
yeah. I mean, it was
Friday,
sold out.
No, I know. But for whatever reason, it just didn't. Because the lines weren't crazy. That's why. There weren't any of these like, this line is 4 hours from here.
Well, actually, I guess we could talk about Enter the Chronosphere.
Yeah.
Which probably was a 4-hour line, even though it probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah. I really liked Enter the Chronosphere. Enter the Chronosphere is one of the games I enjoyed the most, honestly.
It looked quite cool. From what I watched other people do.
Enter the Chronosphere is sort of like, every time I play one of these games that's like, it's turn-based, but it's like more than just the battles that are turn-based, I remember, and again, I know it was not what I said. I know it wasn't what I said on the podcast. I know what I said on the podcast was bad. I own that. It was a bad idea. Go back and listen to it and leave negative comments. I get it. But also, every time I see something where it's like, oh, this is turn-based, but like more, I'm like, oh, that's what I was thinking. And then I cry.
This reminded me of Super Hot, but like isometric perspective. Was it kind of like that?
I have not played Super Hot, but I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I think similar to that. Similar to my general awareness of what that is. But yeah, it's sort of turn-based, and like you have various weapons, and you have to make your way through levels, and like basically a lot of the time, like what's cool about the turn-based is like the enemies are turn-based as well, and like they're shooting projectiles at you, some, and that sort of thing. And so like you get to make strategic decisions to dodge and cause damage and that kind of thing, which was neat. I thought it was really fun. However, the demo was too long, and like also apparently there was one guy who was, Emma reports, was stuck at the exact same spot the whole time.
He was just killing the enemy in front of him as inefficiently as possible, from what I could tell. Like, you just really didn't want to get... I mean, like you play like that on your own time, right? Like, just whittle away at it until it's dead and you're not. But, like, man, you're playing a demo. Do you see the line that is forming around the corner? We were, like, 4th and 5th in line.
Yeah.
When we got into it. And waited there for, like, 20 minutes,
I'd say.
I waited there for like 40 minutes.
Right. No, I know. Poor Emma. I really thought, too, that one was going to come open. Like, when mine came open, I was like, another one will come open in the next 2 minutes. No.
Hey, like, we got a sticker and a tote bag. So.
Yes, they had a lot of good merch. Very light on pins this year.
Yeah.
At Penny Arcade.
It was very weird.
Yeah.
I didn't even see a lot of advertisements for, like, buy the PAX pin stuff.
There were a few, but not very many.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not even, like, of course, I get it. Times are tough, layoffs, game industry in free fall, blah, blah, blah. We can't afford the nice pins and give them away. Sure, whatever. But not even the little buttons. Not even very many little buttons.
I feel like usually there's a lot of, like, little buttons, and the only little button we got was a Toho girl for a game demo we didn't even play.
A misleading Toho girl.
There were 2 Toho games there.
Yes, we did play AFK Journey, which was at that stand, which has started advertising at me on Instagram, by the way.
Yeah, well, it's got a big advertising budget because they are on the PAX map.
Yeah.
That is the big game, the big ad game on the mini map.
I guess PAX. It just came out. It came out on March 27th.
Yeah, that's what it sounds. We play a little bit of that.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like. It's a idle game. It's on computer and mobile. And you go on a journey. You gather some friends. They, do their stuff sort of automatically.
It did have one of the most uncomfortable looking mascots that I've seen.
Yeah, they had...
What
was his name?
Chippy. Very cute. The
Yeah.
mascot was not uncomfortable looking.
Yeah.
Like,
the guy inside of it seemed like he was uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yes, like just kind of swaying.
A lot of mascots, though. I guess there's always a lot of mascots, but a lot of mascots.
No, it did feel mascot heavy. The Moogle, certainly
Moogle.
representing.
Always love to see a Moogle there.
I mean, there were some great Moogle cosplays, too.
True.
If anyone can report back why someone would dress like a Moogle that looks sort of vaguely like the Pope, I would love that explained. I've not looked that up. I'm sure it's a specific type of Moogle, like Pope Moogle or King Moogle. But I haven't looked it up, and I just loved seeing that guy across both days.
Okay, also another category of games there, the games from Poland.
The games from Poland!
There's just a booth, featured booth, games from Poland. I guess I didn't ask. I guess I probably should have asked if it was like a government thing, like initiative or grant or whatever that sent them there, or if just a bunch of Polish game developers came together and wanted to split the cost of a booth. Right.
Games from Poland.
But games from Poland. There were a bunch of variously cool looking titles there. And also some that had their banners printed backwards.
RIP QR codes.
Those poor QR codes, yeah. But Madelyn played just another fantasy title.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
And I played Wand Project. Oh, yet another fantasy title. Excuse me.
Yeah. That one was not that memorable. Sorry, games from Poland.
It seemed very hard for what it was.
Yeah.
The guys who were there before you were dying a lot.
Yes. There was a lot of the distance. Here's my demo critique. The amount of time I had to run to get from one thing to the next without anything that happened in the middle was too long.
Yeah. I liked Wand Project. It's like a Vampire Survivors, but like more progressive, I guess. Not that I guess Vampire Survivors has progression. I'm sorry. Progression system.
I don't know that Vampire Survivors makes a very strong political statement.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I meant progressive in the sense of like there's a progression system.
Yes.
But yeah, rather than like necessarily like picking up a lot of new weapons during like a stage, it's more like you get points and then you spend those points in between stages to enhance your kit. It seems
that
like
in complex as well.
Yeah. It seems like in the full release there's also like a story mode attached to it. It seems like a magical girl thing. Which there's not enough magical girl games, honestly. I feel like I've said on the show, 2 genres that if any game developers are like, what should I do? Sports, magical girls.
Maybe together.
Could be good. But those are my suggestions.
Speaking of Vampire Survivors, one of my highlights from PAX was extremely powerful capybaras. Which is a multiplayer, 4-person, both local and online, co-op kind of Vampire Survivors like.
I think this one is out already, also.
Dang. Maybe I should get it.
You could.
I do feel like
your co-op partner right there with you.
I know. We still have to try co-op Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, that's true. Actual Vampire Survivors co-op, not just capybara flavored Vampire Survivors.
No, but it was good. It scratched that itch. It was fun to play it in a group. It did feel like we were supposed to win a prize for surviving the 10 minutes, and we didn't.
I know.
There should have been capybara
We did good,
pins.
though.
We did do good. I evolved my warrior capybara.
I don't remember what I was playing, like the bard or something.
Yeah.
I had a lot of front-facing attacks, so I would turn and then the enemy would die. It was very satisfying.
I support anything that has local co-op, so go purchase extremely powerful capybaras. Play it with your friends.
Yeah.
I recommend.
Let's see. The only other, like, group of games we went to, I don't know what like, was it the Shueisha game booth? Or, like, a combination of, where there was a flea bin.
Cannot be. What?
What was it called? Freaked flea pit. Flirt.
Right. Yeah, I was like, cannot be Fleabag. That's not right.
I don't know if it was there was Shueisha games there, but I also think maybe it was like combined with some other things. But anyway, did we both play Urban Myth Dissolution Center? And then you played Freaked Flea Pit?
No, I just watched you play Urban Myth Dissolution Center.
Okay. Yeah. I thought that was fine. It felt like it had not a great translation. Like, it was perfectly, like, understandable, but it wasn't like... I wasn't like, yeah, this is good, you know?
Yeah.
And especially when it's, like, you're going through... And maybe some of it's down to the original writing, which could also be the case, but especially, it's, like, very predicated on, like, you're searching through social media posts, and I'm like... These aren't written like social media posts, you know?
Yeah, that's always the challenge.
Yeah. But it's essentially like you're this girl, you've been hired by the Urban Myth Dissolution Center because she has this ability to, like, sense stuff, spiritual type stuff. It's not very specific. And she gets these glasses from the boss there that let her see them more clearly. So there's a little bit of, like, you're exploring environments to sort of pick stuff out, and then also, like, doom scrolling, literally, on social media to, like, figure out clues of, like, where to go. Which, it seems like an interesting concept. It just feels like maybe it will be lacking a little bit of, like, polish.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. And then Freaked Flea Pit is sort of a rhythm, you know, sort of like pixel, sort of felt like, you know, Zelda-y dungeon situation, right? A little bit.
Yeah, it's like Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yes, basically. Exactly. So kind of rhythm based, and you go through the dungeons. The girlie's a little fan servicey for my tastes, but the game was fun enough.
The contrast between, like, the, like, really cute, like, pleasingly plump, like, pixel versions of all the characters, and, like, the very, like, sort of pointy and also very voluptuous anime art.
That's what everyone what's what people want out of women, right? Both pointy and voluptuous.
Yeah. What I want in a woman is for them to be rectangular, I think.
That has unattainable body standards.
Women and men. I was also very charmed by the protagonists, like little rectangular little pixel.
Anyone as long as they look like a rectangle.
Yeah, I just want a rectangle. That's really what I want. If you're rectangular, hit me up.
No, it was fun. It was good. I don't know. I can tolerate it some, but I just, especially in, like, a situation where it's like it's just a demo. It's like, oh no, put those away.
I was, like, fine with it until it hit, like, they introduced this one at, like, at the very end of what you were playing that it's, like, was wearing white, but saying wearing feels like I'm overstating it. Yeah. But the gameplay of that looked fun.
No, the gameplay was fun. I was just like, please just censor this for me. I'd
You'll
like
get
this to be
chilly.
censored.
You'll get chilly.
Yeah,
Put
like
on a
it's
shirt.
cold, please.
Okay. Anything else in my pictures that I'm forgetting? Just the freaky art installations around Boston. The clowns.
Well, we played 2 games where I got on the leaderboards.
Right. Zoe Be Gone.
Right? Zoe Be Gone, which was sort of a... It felt kind of... It was very different than this, but in some ways a little bit Cupheady in like the like film strip feel.
Yeah.
But you're like a thing, like traveling back and forth on a film strip, and you have to defeat all of the very abstract enemies and rack up a high score, basically.
Yeah.
Bullet
And there's
hell.
like little things on the ground that you can dash into, but they have limited supply to like restore your health and stamina,
dash,
I think.
basically.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun, albeit like not the kind of game that I often purchase for myself.
Yeah.
But it was fun. And as I've said, I'm resolving to purchase and play more of these games, so who knows? And then again, I feel like I didn't necessarily get like the full impression of was Juice.
Oh, right.
Which, like, what a title, by the way. But they reported
It got us to go play it, you know. We were like, yeah, we gotta go check out Juice.
Gotta check out the Juice. So we played like the arcade version of it where you're like a monster eating a bunch of people, and they were like, you'll get a prize if you get under 53 seconds. And listeners, I got 3 minutes and 36 seconds, so pretty
It was
close.
rough.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah. But they reported at the booth that was another like, ho, this is a talk this game, where like sometimes you're the monster and sometimes you're the man, and not in a metaphoric way.
Yeah.
So I really ought to do a little bit more like Googling of that game, because it wasn't unfun. I was bad at it.
It was a little bit too sensory overload for me personally.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it was well put together. They said like our developer had some things to work out. Is how they were talking to us before playing it, or maybe while you were playing it.
Yeah.
Which I thought, good for you, man.
Yeah, good for you.
Get it out.
Let it out.
I think the last, like, we only played, like, one game I would consider, like, a big one. So the last, like, small one we played was Pipistrello.
Yeah.
Pipistrello, you think? Or Strello?
Whenever there's a double L, I feel very self-conscious about it as someone who did, and Clickbait Boyfriend still makes fun of me for this, occasionally pronounce it Polo Tropical in Miami.
But anyway, Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo, which essentially is, you're this little bat?
Sure.
Creature.
I thought rabbit, but like bat
Rabbit,
probably makes
maybe.
more sense.
And your aunt is like taken down by some business rivals and somehow ends up inside your yo-yo. And you have to work together to sort of get back at the people who did this. So it's sort of like a dungeons thing, but you have like a yo-yo you can use to attack, and if you hit it on like angles, it'll bounce off. You can also like throw it at things. I'm sure they would introduce more sort of mechanics you can do with the yo-yo later. But that was pretty fun. I don't think it's the kind of game that I'd be like, yeah. I don't think I would purchase it for myself. But I think if you were into this type of game, it's a pretty good example of that.
Yeah. So that was the last.
It's
small
fun
game.
to make the yo-yo go.
That's the tagline.
It's fun to make the yo-yo go. Go.
The yo-yo go-go. And then I think the last game we played that we haven't talked about, right?
Yeah.
Is Dustborn.
Yes.
Which did feel like sort of like maybe one of the biggest games of the conference this year. Which is crazy to say, because it still wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they did have the, like, sort of they had the demo like very controlled, and when you finished it, you got like 8 pieces of merch or whatever. Uh, so you could tell that they were pushing it. But it's essentially like an alternate universe America thing where there are these, I can't remember what they're called, but essentially like X-Men. Um, and you're playing as one of them, sort of going on some sort of like heist mission that you've been hired for, but you don't seem to have all the details for yet. So you and your group are making like a cross-country road trip in order to accomplish this mission. So there's like some bonding elements with different characters. There's little rhythm game things. There's combat, which probably could still use some fine-tuning, I think was my opinion on the combat. Some conversation and decision-based stuff, and other little mini-games in there as well.
Music.
Yeah. I said the rhythm game one.
I know. I think more games should have rhythm games.
I apparently did really well, and Madelyn sucked.
Okay, yeah, here's the thing. This demo starts off, you're an anormal, by the way. Okay. Also, wow, I learned some new things just looking at the quick summary on their website. Some things about the main character. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Anyway, yeah, it starts off with like, yeah, you are on this bus and you've gotten like detained by the security people, and maybe unclear if you're like a real band at all, or if that's totally a cover story, but you all have to sing a song, to prove you're a real band. And this was a pretty long line that we stood in. It wasn't that, to be clear, it wasn't that long. This is the kind of game that I feel like in previous years would have had a line that was like 3 hours long, and we would never have waited in. Yeah. Would have been a game that we would have had to have played on Thursday to play, and instead we waited like 45 minutes and played. But you do a karaoke thing, not a karaoke, you like play a song at the beginning. Song, surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I would say. Surprisingly catchy. And watching everyone sort of play the demo and waiting for them to finish as we were going, like everyone I saw, like the guard was like, that was fine. Like maybe you should practice more. Yeah. Basically. And I just thought that was what he said, no matter what. And I thought I was doing pretty well. But apparently Emma's just really good.
Yeah, I thought I was doing pretty poorly. So I don't know what happened. Right. But at the end, the guard said, like, oh, yeah, like, I really relate to that song. You guys are great. I'm here in my little uniform and nobody sees the guy behind the mask. And we were all like, okay, man, sure.
Emma has honed her skills on Honolulu.
Apparently it boosted everyone's spirits, too. So
like a butterfly and all that, yeah.
I am the person who did get a perfect on hands in
I didn't attempt that, so the baby gamer hands have upgraded, that's for sure.
They're now toddler gamer hands.
Exactly, they're grown up. Getting strong. Anyway, Dustboard is one that, I'm like, oh, like, I would actually like to play that. Yeah. I think there's interesting thing. I do love an interesting alt-America history.
Yeah.
I think there should be more of that. And I think here it's like JFK's, like Jackie Kennedy got shot instead of JFK.
Yeah. I feel like with alternate America, everybody just wants to do like the South won the Civil War. Right. It's like, don't do that one. Just pick something else.
Like, let's not do that. Every once in a while you get the sort of like alt World War II thing. That's not even really like alt America, right? Like, yeah. But that's bad too. Like, let's do ones that don't involve as much white supremacy or like Nazism. That feels good to avoid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the world in Dustborn does seem to be heavily policed, at least. But
that's America. Like, that can still be a thing. It just doesn't have to be, literally the Confederacy.
Yeah. Yeah. Basic story writing tips for you.
Your alt-America doesn't have to be
the Confederacy.
Slavery can be abolished.
We also saw Suda 51,
Right.
just from a distance.
We were like, that guy's Suda 51? He
Sure
is.
He got to Boston late, apparently, because he had a little cold that was not COVID.
He was there. He looked like he was having a good time.
Yep.
We did not.
Yeah.
We did not play.
We did not play Shadows of the Damned. We did look at it. It did look pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah.
From the original.
So get it, Shadows of the Damned fans. Get it.
Yeah. If you want just some modern Shadows of the Damned, some high res Shadows of the Damned, there you go.
It's there. It looks like
it's there. Yeah.
We also saw 17 people dressed as Cloud Strife.
Did you counted? You tallied?
Yeah. That's more than we saw. We saw like 8 or 9.
Yeah. A couple of varieties of clouds.
Yes. 2 different Honeybee Inn clouds.
Advent Children cloud, I think.
Yep.
And then one cloud with flower.
Right.
Yellow flower.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Final Fantasy VII was the clear winner of cosplay frequency, I would say.
Yes. Yeah.
Because a lot of aghast of varying degrees of effort. Decent.
Few Tifas.
Decent representation of Tifa and Zack. No Barretts.
I remember no Barretts, yeah, which is really
an indictment.
No of various things. Another indictment.
Seriously.
I wanted to see Kate Sith's with Fat Moogle, to be honest. That is a dad and daughter
if you want.
Cosplay. If there ever was one.
We can do it.
Okay. Let's do it, yeah.
Next year.
2 Sephiroths, including one delightfully small Sephiroth.
Yeah, which Emma was not supportive of, to be clear.
I just think it's funny. I think you should make your sword, if you're shorter than Sephiroth, you have to make the sword even longer. I think.
Gotta compensate.
Also you bought your tea.
I did. There were 2 different gaming beverage places. That was a step up this year.
Yes. Many Worlds Tavern had both tea and coffee, so I could actually join Madelyn in her purchasing of video game themed hot beverages.
And I got some D&T as well. I've not tried any of them yet, but I look forward to it.
And I also made a beeline to Toge Productions booth on the first day and got some space for the Unbound merch.
Still gotta play that one too.
It's good. I liked it.
I know. Speaking of things that we didn't really like, that were continuity with PAX always, can the panels just ever be good?
Oh yeah, we went to 2 panels.
We did.
The historical research one was fine.
Well, the historical research one was par for the course for PAX.
Yeah.
Which was... And look, maybe I'm tooting my own horn too much here, but I feel like we do a special interest hour-long conversation every other week. And look, it's not I think that I'm so great at that or anything, but I think that we get into more interesting topics in our hour on any given topic than ever happens at a PAX East panel.
I feel like, unless you're talking about something really highly specific, 4 people is actually too many people to really get anywhere deep in an hour, though.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the average for the PAX panels, to have 3 or 4 people talking about it. And it, not that it's not good to get various perspectives on things. Obviously, that's probably a good part for the historical research in particular. But it is they're gonna cover sort of the basics, and everybody will give their own perspective on the basics, and that's sort of what you'll get in an hour.
I just wish that at a conference that is for people who are interested in games, we could skip some of the basics. I wish we could skip to 1.5 level.
I guess. With something like historical research, though, that's kind of outside of the average place.
I guess that's true.
Like, honestly, how many people in there had actually played any of those games?
Like, fair enough. Although I think that some of, like, that was some of the issue with those, is that those games, the historical research they were talking about was totally not at all like each other.
Yeah.
And even some
But I mean, that could be interesting if you had, like, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right?
But I think what was frustrating about that panel for me was, you know, obviously, like, I knew much more about Pentiment than I knew about the other two games. But it also felt like the other two games were based on history that was much sketchier overall.
I mean, the VR one felt like it was actually a lot more specific than Pentiment.
Sure.
Because it's about, like, one person.
Right. But even there, like, that stuff, like, about one person, she was sort of like, we don't know this, or we don't know that. Which is okay. But I would have loved more discussion of, like, sort of that difference of, like, okay, yeah, what is it like when you're crafting a game that is very specifically about one historical person? And, like, how do you approach that research differently than, you know, you do if you're creating a sort of, like, very inspired by history, but not a real place, like German town.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just always want the moderators to come in with highly specific questions and not, like, group questions.
Sure. Again, though, I feel like that's a 2-hour panel, not
okay, well, make the panels
panel.
2 hours then. Fine.
But you can't do that. That's too long for PAX.
Hour and a half. I can take a nap in the middle.
So my point is, like, theoretically something where it's like one person giving a presentation kind of seems like it should be the more ideal thing for, like, an hour, right?
Yeah.
I was just hoping Gaming in the Space Age would be a little bit more gaming focused. Like, whatever. I like learning about the space projects, but it wasn't really about gaming in the space age.
Like, at all.
It was just sort of
now
like, here's what NASA's working on right now.
Now I want to do a podcast that's on gaming. Maybe I'll do that. No, I'm not going to. Not for next week. But, like, maybe that'll be a side quest topic I pull out at some point. Because I was like, man, there gotta be interesting connections here.
Yeah.
And we barely talked about it at all. So yeah, the panel's not a low light exactly, but they are what they always are. I always come in hoping, like, maybe we'll get the wrestling panel again. And you just never do.
I just feel like the ideal thing for this is, like, 1 or 2 people more, like, giving, like, a focused talk on something, as opposed to, like, open-ended questions to a large panel of people. Which just, like, feels like it will take longer, right?
Yeah.
That it'll take more time than I say an hour, but they want them to leave time for some questions, so it's really more like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And
I get it. I don't blame anyone. I'm just like, I always want these to, like, I want to come away with something from these more than I do.
Maybe we should go to GDC instead and just go to a bunch of talks.
Maybe.
No, GDC is like $1,000.
Yeah. If it could just happen at the same time where I'll be in LA anyway.
It's $1,000 for, like, a ticket, man.
No, I know. But then I at least wouldn't have to pay for the flight.
Yeah. So we just went to those 2 panels. Had a lot of chicken. A lot of grilled chicken.
Emma ate a lot of chicken.
I did.
Well, general impressions on this year's PAX, hopes and dreams for next year?
I'm curious about next year. I was sort of on the same page with you that, like, this will be the year that we see if people come back, but then it's at the same time as GDC. So it can't be that. So next year we'll have to see if the different timing and ideally not conflicting with anything major will boost it back up again. Or if they're just not interested in traveling to the East Coast anymore if they don't have to.
I'm excited about the May date. That's a good weekend for me.
It'll also be nicer to walk, probably. Seriously. I mean, it might rain, but at least it would be warm rain.
Warmish rain. Yeah.
Yeah. Partner hotels have shuttles from PAX. Did you know?
I know.
We used that when it was raining in the afternoon on Saturday.
And we had some Boston cream pie.
We sure did.
No, it was a good overall PAX. I have come firmly to the conclusion that nothing will ever match the heights of PAX 2020, which I am also very aware has to be highly inflated in my memory. Given
it's the highs and then the lows. We had a great PAX, and that brought down the global pandemic on the world. So we should never reach for those highs again, truly.
How much did PAX 2020 accelerate the entry of the global coronavirus?
We probably should not have gone to PAX 2020.
We were like, it's fine. We're like, Mom, don't worry.
We'll wear masks. We'll get hand sanitizer. Everybody's got hand sanitizer. It's fine.
Yeah. Like, there's
Did use a lot of hand sanitizer at that PAX.
There was not very much hand sanitizer this year, I have to say.
No. We have
not
given
present.
up on hand sanitizing.
Yeah.
No, there was no mask requirements either.
There were definitely still some people masking, but
yeah,
it was much less. I mean, obviously it's been required up until now, but it was both more people doing it than I expected and less people doing it than I expected.
Yeah.
I would say.
Oh, we got cookies.
Yes, we did. Despite thinking that Cookie Brigade did not actually sell cookies.
We were very confused by Cookie Brigade the first day, but they do in fact have cookies available for a donation.
And we didn't mention that we watched some Jackbox games and some Just Dance.
Oh, yeah. Had a great time.
Confidence is key in both, I would say.
Absolutely.
Well, I was almost ready to throw in the towel and be like, let's go to PAX West next year, but this year was good. The new date feels like something. Probably it's going to be in the midst of everyone in Boston graduating.
That is true, yeah.
So we'll look forward to that.
Yeah. Well, when it gets closer, we can see what's what with our schedules and with our feelings. Keep an eye on whether Wild Bills will be back or not.
That's the make or break.
Yeah.
After all of this, if they are back, I will have to get a mug.
Yeah. We have to show our support.
Alarming.
We missed it. We missed you. Never leave us again.
Come on back, Bill. Play the song from Carousel. No? Right. He's just my Bill. My wild Bill. That's not what they say. Any closing PAX thoughts? PAX you may?
I'm getting old. My knees hurt. My back hurts.
I feel like you did better this year.
I did do a little better, I think.
Gotta take you for a visit to the Buddha. Overdue.
God, we have to return to the Buddha.
Well, listeners, did you attend this year's PAX East? Or were you at GDC with everyone else? If you were going to dress up as Cloud, or which Final Fantasy VII character would you dress up as? And how much effort would you put into that cosplay? Because there was a range. Can you explain the Moogle Pope to me? Or even the Moogle, like, former Stormtrooper Moogle. That one was pretty dope, too. Do you have thoughts on how panels can be run in a way that I personally will be satisfied by them? Or places that we should be buying food near the Boston Convention Center that are cheap and good?
I thought the food truck food we got was good. It just was not good for the price that it was.
No, it was not cheap, and we waited for a while. So, I'm like, there's got to be better out there.
Yeah.
Are you a Mountain Dew representative who wants to fight? If you have thoughts on any of this or anything else we talked about this week, hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Talk This Podcast. You can also visit our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read all about the show, check out the games in the hat, and read our blog featuring long-running series, Clickbait Boyfriend, and Split Screen. But perhaps most importantly, if you enjoyed the show, you should subscribe. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, online and on the app, Overcast, Pocket Casts, wherever you can find podcasts. Subscribe to Talk This. It's my side quest next week. It will not be gaming in the space age, I promise. Tempted as I am. It'll be something. Gaming and Easter. That's today.
That is today.
Eggs and gaming. Fetch quests and gaming. Lives systems.
That could work. That could work.
So tune in next week for that. In 2 weeks, the PAX has like thrown off all of my memory. I don't remember at all what the games are in 2 weeks.
The new game is definitely Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora.
I remember that.
I think the old game is either Clock Tower or Sly Cooper.
I feel like I would remember
one of
it
those
being
two.
Sly Cooper, so I'm pretty sure it's Clock Tower. But you will find out with us in 2 weeks.
I'll try to know when we record the side quest.
I'll try to know when we record the main quest.
Good. All right, Madelyn. You want to sign us off?
That's it for this year's PAX special episode. This year, I hope that your free refills mug overfloweth with your beverage of choice.